seeing and evaluating our rehearsal process and also discussing our um, final outcome of our performance. So, first thing we're going to discuss is the participation in our group's rehearsal and filmed improvisations. So, Tunjin, would you like to start?
During the group rehearsals, it seemed easier for my group and I to run things and how smooth it went in terms of dialogue and then just creating the overall atmosphere. The hardest part during the rehearsal time was to also find the time to build our set. And when the cameras started being added, it just added like an extra pressure on us, because if we made a mistake, like if we did anything that seemed unnecessary, it would all be caught on camera. So it just added that extra layer of pressure for us to do better. So in a sense, it really helped us. We got some advice from the media students in terms of how to set up the camera around our performance space, and we adjusted our set a little bit to help match that, and it just really added like an extra layer to what we had already. It just really helped improve our piece because of the overall interaction with another group, and they really allowed us to explore different options in terms of how we did the certain movements or certain actions to help how it was picked up on camera. And even then, they would give us some advice on maybe we could do something different, like move the cell slightly or move the interrogation room. And passing it over to Dylan, what did you think of your rehearsals and filmed improvisations?
Yeah, in my group rehearsals, I think it went very well because we were very productive in our rehearsals. As we had a storyline set. We had a set storyline. We knew what we were doing. We knew what everyone's characters were. We worked on each individual's characters based on what their problem is. So mine was split personality and mood swings. So obviously I showed that in my actual performance by showing I have mood swings. And excuse me.
And my character is a lady that drowned her baby, and she was looking for her child in the asylum. She's been put there because because she killed her baby. And the plot was for her to go into the room in the rehearsal. We went into the room. I was in a separate room from the others, and I made my way through the corridor, making a lot of noise, saying a little nursery rhyme of like a hide and seek game, looking for my daughter. And when I got into the room, I would look around the room where people would be hiding. And in the rehearsal, it's so different because there's no actual audience there. So because there's no audience there, it was kind of hard to pinpoint where that person that I was going to pick out was going to be. And I had to use my imagination of that person there. So for me personally, to help the process of it, I pinpointed one certain part of the room where I would want someone to be directed to hide in, so that could be my route to make my way over to them and to get them. And in the rehearsal, the guide would pull me away and sleep because I was getting too aggressive towards that person.
Throughout the rehearsal process itself, it was a bit difficult in the beginning due to how this was everyone's first time sort of learning about immersive theatre, taking a look into immersive theatre and sort of gaining the base idea and, that idea of it really. But I think me and my group, I feel like we tackled a lot of the problems quickly and everything. So, in the rehearsal process, we identified where we're going to be set. So we decided to be set in the prison warden in the psych unit. So having that idea, we we sorted out what was the problem, what was happening. So we decided to, there was a malfunction in the, there's a malfunction in the system, there was a glitch in the system, everything's broken down, so all the inmates are loose and everything, and, you know, our audience member was going to be visitors who was visiting the audience, the prison, and they were just in the wrong place at the wrong time. And then, you know, we took time, and as you can see in our Padlets, we took initiative and wrote a character brief of each one of our characters, talking about who our character is, what we're going to be dressed like, what our characteristics are, and all these kind of little things. So, you know, my character was a pyromania, who is a person who is, you know, addicted to fire. Addicted to fire. And I had burnt a special effects makeup on my face to give it that look and all these kind of things. But you know, like I said before, in the beginning, it was quite difficult because we never got the chance to really work closely with the media students and find out who's really going to film our performance and everything, because I feel like there wasn't a strong communication between the media students. So I think because of that, it did sort of slow us down a lot, really badly, and cause us to, you know, have everything a bit done last minute, because then, you know, only the day before the performance we got to work with the media students, working out where the camera's going to be, what the lighting's going to be, so it fits the camera for them, and all these kind of little things. And, you know, it was difficult, but, you know, we did ensure that we, you know, whenever we did have the chance to work with the media students, we got to really focus and just put our heads down and work together as a team to work out where each one of us is going to be, where we're going to be placed, what the lighting's going to be, where the cameras are going to set, and everything. So it did have its difficulties, but for future references, I feel like we will benefit from having this experience, because, you know, next time we will know that we just take initiative and talk, and just make sure that we communicate with other people that we're going to be working with whenever we do get the chance to. So the second thing we're going to be talking about is actually, Kaylee, do you have any points?
When we first learnt about the topic, immersive theatre, I had no idea, no clue of what it was going to be. So our teacher decided to film improvisations of us, like into a forest, in an asylum, and then the dreaming one. And I found it quite difficult at first to improvise because I've never done anything like that. But then as we got onto doing more things like it, it prepared me for the proper immersive theatre performance, because it is a lot of improvisation in case anything goes wrong. During rehearsals for the immersive theatre performance, I felt like we could have been more productive within more run-throughs and getting my character properly sorted, because in the beginning my character was like older, she was like 40, and she had like bipolar, and like she got put in a mental asylum for killing her family and stuff like that. But then I changed it last minute and decided to be a little girl called Lucy, and I was about 11 years old, 10 years old, around that age. And I thought my character was really good in the end, but we could have done so much better in the performance, as one of our group members did forget to do a few things, did forget to place people in some positions.
Adding on to what Kaylee was saying about the performances that we put on for our immersive theatre, where our teacher recorded us for like improvisation, I really think that the asylum improvisation really helped me personally for my character, because I really got into that role when I was in the asylum, and it just made me think back to how I did that process, what was in my mind, how I reacted to it, and I feel like that really did help me with my character in our actual immersive theatre performance. And I'm very happy that we got the experience to do that, because it sort of gave us an idea of what it would be like when media students came in and helped us by taking photos with us, interacting with us, and got good feedback from that. And I feel like we all slightly went back to that part when we were doing it, and we just brought it into our actual immersive theatre performance.
Linking to the whole what we did, trials of the dream and nightmares, the trial of asylum and exploration. You know, for me, myself, like, I never have done immersive theatre before. Like, that style has just never it's never come across to me. And, you know, having our teacher in this, you know, getting us to do that activity with audience, like, you know, media students coming to watch us and everything, and, you know, taking pictures and everything, it was beneficial for me, because, like, I got to experience what's gonna be like with, you know, performing and having someone directly right up to my face, having an audience member directly to my face, and everything, and then, you know, not allowing them to distract you, not allowing them to break character and all that stuff, and, you know, it can be difficult, and it was difficult, because, you know, especially if you like see a friend or something like that, and then you feel like you want to start laughing and giggling and all this stuff, but then, you know, you remember that you can't, you know, you're not allowed to giggle and everything,
or break character, especially if you know the audience members, as some people tend to break character when they see people they know, because they might feel a bit like overwhelmed or embarrassed about performing in front of them because they know that person, whereas if you don't know the person, you know that you're not gonna see them ever again, so you feel like you don't really care.
Going back into what we were saying about getting advice and like ideas off of peers, it was good to get it off of our teacher Innes in regards to our stage combat sequences. He allowed us to show how the use of different angles and use of different perspectives could like really enhance a performance. So instead of doing some overly complicated fight sequence, if you kept it minimalistic and realistic, it would be able to come out really well, and an audience would be able to just see it, and they'll be like, wow, this looks real. Is it real?
Yeah, so, that's the thing, because like, that's what happened, like, you know, with my group. Like, at first we sort of kept our stage combat scene, you know, in the centre and everything, but having, you know, our tutor to give us some advice and everything, like using, for example, more of the spacing, travelling a little bit more, it allowed us to really play with the angle of the, you know, where the punches are going to be thrown, so it looks real with the sound effects and everything like that. So
and also the guidance that I got from Ennis, my tutor, it really helped me for my character, because I didn't really know how to involve the audience in my performance due to my character. But I managed to do it, obviously, just by, even if it was just by staring at them, just walking up to them, just making direct contact with them would give them at least a feel that they're still, that gives them an eerie sense of, like, they're actually in the asylum with me. So it gives them a realistic point of view.
Also, adding on to that, with the stage combat, me and Kaylee did a little scene, and Innes really helped us with that scene to make it look more realistic, and how we can do it in a safe way, and how we can make the punches look realistic without actually punching each other. And I feel like with his help and guidance for that, it really helped us and made the scene much better.
Moving on to our second point was what advice were we given in order to assist us with our rehearsal process and overall learning throughout this process. So Dylan, what was the main part of it? What was some main advice that helped you in the rehearsal process with your character?
The main advice that helped me with the main advice was I had a lot of advice throughout the whole performance and the whole rehearsal process, but I think the main one was when I was like, basically I did research on different types of ways to involve audiences, different types of ways to interact with the audience, and what's it called?
Immerse them.
No. Different types of way to make my character more better, basically. So I basically watched American Horror Story. I watched scary movies.
The
I
Nun.
watched documentaries, and I took inspiration from them documentaries to add into my performance. But I did interpret it in my own way, so it was my original idea. And I think the main advice I had was just do research, and it helped me a lot.
I feel like, for me, myself, sort of like what Dylan has just said, doing some research and everything, I did get a lot of advice about how to, build your character and sort of, ensure that, you don't break your character throughout the performance. Like, you don't allow them to affect you at all or anything like that, and everything. So, there was I searched up one of the Alice in Wonderland immersive theatre performances that happens in London, and I was just watching the clip and hearing the actors tell their feedback and everything, and all of these stuff, and it did help me a lot, because I got to gain a lot stronger idea of how to keep that immersive theatre style, how to embrace my character and really become my character instead of being someone playing my character. It's I really did get to focus on that a lot, and watching videos, reading some books, about specific events, and finding facts about pyromanians, people, all these kind of little things. I really did get to really build myself, and that really did assist me in my rehearsal process, because and my overall learning for future projects I will be doing, using those skills of research and everything to really find depth within my character, finding deeper facts and everything to my character, and I feel like this will develop me as an actor so much in the future, because the final outcome of my research, which was my performance, I gained really strong feedback from the audience members. They were telling me how they really didn't see me for me, and everything, and even during the performance I had people calling out my name, and that was quite hard and difficult, because you want to react to it, but at the same time you have to stay in your character. And with this research that I did, with the advice I got given from my teacher in this, and reading the books and that I've read and all this kind of stuff, I got to really focus. And I was able to ignore when people were calling my name out during the actual performance. So it was actually quite strong and quite helpful.
With the advice that I was given, it really helped me, because during the very first stages of the rehearsal process, I went kind of all guns blazing with my character. I went in at 500 instead of 100, but that then gave Innes, the shooter, the chance to
be able to
dial
work
it
on
back.
it, and then maybe if you needed to, instead of all you had to do would be just dialing it down.
And so he said to me, I was putting on a bit of a voice during my rehearsals. It was just, I tried making it a little bit deeper just to add some more character to it. But he told me, just dial it back a little bit, and you might realise that just being a little bit more minimalistic is it really helps improve my character. And so I started doing that, and I kind of made my character around that. I developed my character. My character was supposed to be a little bit more professional. He was supposed to be a bit more calm. So I worked around that, and I think it was really effective because the advice I was given allowed me to better myself in this performance and also as an actor through the rehearsals for it. And I'm glad it was said to me at an early stage because it really allowed me to focus on that and then create the best character that I possibly could. And just throughout the whole rehearsal process, my character development, because of that advice that was given to me, really allowed me to focus on other things as well, such as creating scripts, building sets, or just doing simple rehearsals. So just being able to knock that out the way at the first part, just simply by telling me just to, maybe lower my voice or just change it an octave or something, just really helps with me and my acting ability throughout this immersive theatre project.
Also, sorry, could I just quickly add on to what I said firstly? I did feel that my research was very effective because it helped me immensely with my performance, and I found that I could go forward and look at different ways I could improve my characters. And yeah.
Literally, the only advice I was given in order to assist me with my rehearsal process was from the beginning when we done our improvisation task. That's how when I learned it all, and my tutor said to me, just be yourself, just imagine where you would be and where your head is placed at this specific time, like in an asylum. How would I be in an asylum personally, and how would I improvise it? And how would I improvise the dreams? And things like that. And the advice I was given was, to just be myself and just to see what my mind creates in the imagination and how big I can go with my imagination, and just to be myself. And I felt like this was effective because it did help me from my immersive theatre piece during the rehearsals, because I was researching ideas of how to act for my character and what to put in and what to be and what I'm going to do for it. So that was literally all I got.
And also for the working on this process, we're judging how effective it was for how it ended up. I found that it could have been more effective, as when we rehearsed it, we used a lot of interaction with the audience members, but there were some problems that we came across in the actual performance. There were problems that we had to overcome, and these problems were because one of our group members changed the beginning of it, which changed the entire plot. And because it changed the entire plot, we had to work around and go with the flow of what he was doing, and this made it sort of less effective than it did in the rehearsal. But it was successful, as people did get eerie, there was an eerie atmosphere, and people did get a bit spooked out, and people may have been laughing, but they were laughing as a way to cope with their fear because it was out of their comfort zone. And this has helped develop me as a performer, because this is the first time I've done an immersive theatre performance, and I feel like it's helped me completely break the fourth wall between myself and the audience. And it's so different to being on stage. Like on stage, you're performing with the actual performer. Like, you don't need to worry about the audience members changing the plot or changing anything. But when you do immersive theatre, you're changing. It can be changed at any time. It's completely different to how you rehearsed it. So when it's being rehearsed, you have it one way, but then when it comes to actual performance, it's completely different. And it's a bit daunting to think that one audience member can change the entire plot. But for our case, it was one of our performers that changed the plot for us.
During this process, I've learned that things can, as easily as they can go right, they can go wrong really fast.
I agree with that.
You might have a segment of your performance which is going really, really smoothly, and next thing you know, an audience member has done something or a group member's done something where it's that's when it kicks into gear. You have to start improvising to help keep the performance going. And this immersive theatre project has really allowed me to learn more about improvisation and characterisation as well, and how to remain in character even when people call your name, or actually try interacting with you as yourself rather than as your character. And I believe for my piece and my group's piece, this was done successfully, and it really has assisted my development as a performer, because immersive theatre is seen as more of a wild type style of theatre. It's not like common practitioners. It's risky and dangerous as a performer to do immersive theatre. So so it's risky and dangerous to do it as a performer, because there's a lot of things that could go wrong. But if you succeed with it, it creates some of the most engaging and the most thrilling, even just
It gives
really,
it quite an adrenaline towards it.
It just
for us.
adds so much more to an audience perspective, and as a performer, it's actually quite refreshing being able to actually talk to an audience member and actually interact with them, rather than them sitting at the end of a stage just watching you for an hour performance or whatever. So this definitely has assisted my development as a performer, purely because of just what the subject was and what it incorporated.
Yeah, no, to be honest, I agree with you strongly, because for me myself, it was a lot of skills comes, with conducting a immersive theatre piece and everything, and you've got to really sort of think depth for some of the things that happens, and think about what could happen and all these kind of things, because we don't have the audience just sitting in an auditorium just watching us from a distance or anything. No, they're right in our faces. They're there, and having that can be a bit intimidating. I feel like
I definitely agree.
Yeah, I
felt intimidated as well.
Yeah, I felt
Especially
intimidated as well.
when they were laughing. It made me think that I was doing something funny, that I was making it comedic, when I wasn't trying to make it comedic. But then looking back on it, it's just how some people react.
Yeah, I feel like for me, it was not, for example, like I said previously, not reacting to people actually calling my actual name out, because that I could have easily just reacted towards it and caused me to break character. But in this whole performance piece, I got to really develop a lot of skills that I had and everything, because I was I didn't break character, and I had that depth of research, about how to maintain my character and everything, and with me throughout my performance. And because of that, I got to have a full focus on my performance and everything, and as well, problem solving as well was a major thing that I got to learn about myself, really, actually, because in this process I didn't just get to learn skills. I learned things about myself, how quick I can react to a problem solving, and everything. For example, our storyline was that we were, like I said previously, we were in a psych unit. All the inmates are broken out. The guide, which was Walter, who is the warden of our facilitation. He's just been attacked by the broken out inmates, and he sees the audience who are classed as the visitors of the facilitation, who are just in the wrong place in the wrong time, and he's just trying to help him out and get him away from danger by getting him inside of our room to hide. But really, he finds out we're there, and then all hell breaks loose and everything. But right when the performance started and he brought audience members in, he completely changed the whole storyline. Completely changed the concept of the performance and everything. And because of that, it did cause us to panic a little bit, and it was a problem. But I feel like what I learned about myself is how I was able to retaliate to that problem and solve that problem as quick as possible, to the point that the audience members didn't notice that there was a problem, and I was able to react towards it and everything, Because at the end of the day, the audience members, they don't know what's going to happen. They come to watch for the first time, me and my group, our improvisation skills and our problem-solving skills were, really well done and everything, to the stage that we were able to overcome that problem and go along with it. And the audience, gaining the feedback from the audience, they were like, it was a really strong performance and everything. We got to really, for the audience, we didn't show that there was a mistake. We didn't show any of it. And for them, they just showed that, it was just a performance, and they were very happy with it. They felt intimidated and stuff, which was our initial target.
Also, it's just, I think what we all learn is how not to use the stereotypical style of like horror, like zombie, like this really gave us a chance.
It, naturalistic.
Yeah,
that was one thing that was difficult, because
keeping it natural, whilst keeping it within like plausibility of real world.
Yeah, because I like my group, our original, storyline and idea. It was a natural thing, and the audience were the visitors, and they were just in the wrong place and wrong time. How. That whole idea of being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Similar with my group's work. When our inspectors came, that's when it all went out. But I believe all groups, from what I saw, were able to keep it like in a sense of realism.
Yeah,
and
that's what I'm saying.
Maybe some could be over exaggerated, but that's the same within any performance, because.
But it needed a little bit of over exaggeration towards it. But that's what I'm saying. It's like keeping that idea, keeping it real and everything. Was the target, because if you keep it more real, the audience member feel it more and all this kind of stuff. So keeping it minimal and keeping it realistic was the most effective thing about the actual performance.
As an outside member of like your group, like, and just seeing what you guys were able to do, like when I did get the chance to, I saw how much it developed you as performers, purely because of how like your improvisation was so needed at that stage. Yeah. But it's just like something clicked in you. I came into second gear. It was just literally just like straight in there, just like change it up. There, guys, audience members. Yeah, we've been rehearsing this for months. There is not a mistake that has been made when really everything's gone wrong. The way you're able to portray that shows your development as actors throughout this like whole rehearsal process and everything.
Which is true. It's true. Yeah. Katie, do you have any input towards point 3?
Saying what you have learned from working on this process. I found it quite difficult in the beginning, because I didn't want to make myself look like an idiot when I was improvising. The dreams and the asylum, and then when I found out we had to do this immersive theatre piece and discuss what we're going to do in our groups, what the plot's going to be, what the storyline's going to be. I found it quite difficult, and then everyone started putting in ideas, and then I started thinking, actually I'm starting to get this, and I have learned that it is a hard task, it is a hard thing.
Yeah, but okay, going back to it, it's just.
It was not that. It was effective in the end, not the beginning.
Okay, so. Okay, sorry. Yeah. What I've learned from this process, what I've learned from working on this process.
Okay, so evaluating my own individual performance, I've identified that my strengths are improvisation, especially when our performance has been changed. So once it's like a domino effect. Once something changed, everything changes, and I feel like I did really well to improvise through that and not break character through that process, which I found was quite hard because improvisation, you do it right on the spot, and I didn't really know what to do, and I'm happy and proud of myself that I did stay in character and I was able to improvise. I feel like that was one of my strengths and that I did really well on, and I feel like my areas of development, I feel like could be more to improvise quicker, like think about ideas faster. Because when I first walked into the room when Walter was still talking to the audience, I didn't really know what to do because that's not what we had planned on doing. So I was standing there for a minute in my character thinking, what am I going to move? How am I going to move next? What am I going to do next? And I feel like I should have had a backup plan, because I feel like our group didn't really have a massive backup plan if the audience or if something went wrong and they didn't want to be included or anything like that. But we did. I feel like that could be an area of development of myself, thinking of what my backup plans would be and why and how I would move on in the improvisation scene, if that's via someone in the performance that changed something or if the audience member changed something.
Yeah, going back to question 3, what I've learned from this process is to involve the audience, you need to make contact with them, you need to get them involved. And I've learned they will feel more involved if they can actually have a free roam of the space, if they can actually talk to you, they can actually do something with you. And this has helped me a lot. This has helped me a lot as a development as a performer, because I've learned different things. I know that the audience will feel more involved by doing that, just by literally talking to you, just by having a free roam around the stage. It will make them feel more involved, and it's helped me because I've learned it's easy for me to stay in character, even if everyone else is just free roaming. I think it was very effective for them to free roam because it gives them a realization of what they actually are.
So, as an individual, I feel like I was actually quite strong. I developed so much skills and everything within my performance because, I got to learn things I never knew about myself. I got to experience a whole complete different style of acting. I got to, experience having an audience member right up to my face and everything. And for me, it was quite strong. As an individual, I think my improvisation skills, my problem-solving skills, my characterization, my what else? I feel like those were my strengths within the process. So because problem solving, for example, like being able to adapt to the change that happened during the performance and being able to just go along with it and find a way to continue to ensure that I get from my first point to another point, so the rest of my group knows at what stage we're coming up to, and all these kind of things. My improvisation skills. So again, with the whole problem of having that happening, being able to improvise and just going along with the problem, and being quick at improvising, so making sure that the audience doesn't notice that there was a problem and everything. Because from the review that I got from the audience members, for them they were like, yeah, it was so good, it was everything, this and this and that and that, and it was good to hear that because it wasn't clear that there was a mistake that happened and we had to improvise, which was really strong. And I feel like me as an individual, I really did tackle that really strong. My characterization as well. So, not reacting to people calling my name out, people laughing in my face and everything, because, people laughing doesn't necessarily mean that, I've done something funny. For them,
They could just know you as a person.
exactly.
And
It's just because that they know you, and they just want to laugh because it's you, or sometimes it's because you generally are making them feel uncomfortable, that they don't know how to retaliate. So people just have a tendency to laugh. It's all like a psychological thing. So maintaining my character there was really strong, and I feel like I did really well in that aspect. I feel like. However, though, I feel like I could have done a much more depth of what I could have done for my character specific, because I feel like I didn't. I feel like I could have done more for my character, in a sense as I feel like I didn't give my full devour attention to the research section to the point where I could have gave so much more as my character, but I do feel like my characterization was really strong. I really did build my character really well and everything, so I feel like as an individual those were my strong points and points I could develop on. But for future projects, I know that I'm gonna have to do further depth research and actually really tackle and get into depths. The people who've played the Joker and how deep they get into that character. I would like to sort of get not to that level, to the stage where I actually become the character and then problems happen, but to the stage that I take really depth into my character and really instead of being, like I said earlier, instead of being someone playing someone, I am the person, so the audience should see me as the character, not me playing a character. So I feel like that's what it is for me.
Kaylee, what do you think about your one?
My individual performance in depth. Okay. The strengths I have is when the audience were making me feel intimidated by staring at me and whispering under their breath about me, I took it under the chin and I completely stayed neutral. I stayed in my character when I felt intimidated. But areas for development is interacting more with the audience. I should have maybe gone up to their faces and done like these scary faces instead of just standing neutral. So yeah, they're the strengths and areas of development I've got.
For me, it's for my individual performance, because I was in a separate group. I did quite a bit of research for like police and detective type shows. So I watched like the BBC's Bodyguard to help with interrogation scenes, because there's a few within that, picking up on character traits, what an actual police officer might say or do, certain actions or methods that they might use to get under like a interviewee's like skin, and it just really helped with the, like in terms of that, because the research. I even watched Heath Ledger Joker's and the Batman's interrogation scene, not with the one with Batman and the Joker, but the one with Commissioner Gordon and the Joker. Yeah. Because I was interrogating a psychopath, like in my performance, so I drew a lot of heavy inspiration off of that, because obviously it'd already been done in that movie, and the Joker is seen as one of the best like villains in terms of how crazy and how unpredictable he is. It's like and he's always in control no matter how much he seems like he's mad. And I really wanted to make my character seem like he knew he was in control at all times, and just that there was no games being played. And like my strength for my character was definitely the characterization itself, because I managed to get into a place where when people would actually say my name, I would just ignore them, I'll respond back in character with something, and it would be just remain in character to not break that, because as soon as that illusion is broken, you can't get it back. It's literally they see
The
you
audience
as
will
you.
see you as you,
Yeah.
not your character.
But a few areas for development for me personally would probably have to be, I'd have to say, the use of my surroundings a bit more. I could definitely use the surroundings and to maybe help interact with the audience a little bit more. It seemed to be quite difficult for me during it, because when I'm there doing the interrogation, it was hard to find a way to get the audience involved with that as I was doing it. So that's what I would need to develop. And just one more strength would probably be the use of props and the building of the sets and stuff for the performance. That was a good strength that all myself and the rest of my group had. And
Dylan, got any?
I'd like to say, I would just like to say that I think my individual performance, I think it went very well. Personally, I think it went very well. Had a lot of strengths, and there was a few areas of development. So one of my strengths were keeping in character throughout, playing it 3 times, even though I was in a straitjacket. My hands were tied. I literally had could not move. My whole body was isolated, and I found it very hard to when I was dropping on the floor after Water. After me and Water had a little scene, I had to drop off the floor. I had to drop on the floor, and I had to get up real quick. It was very hard, but I still maintained character. I still didn't show any signs of breaking out of character. Another strength was I feel that my character was effective, because what my aim was to make the audience feel uncomfortable, and I thought I did do that, as I did feel sick on one of Megan's face in the performance, and I did get a reaction I was expecting out of the audience, which was good. But even if I didn't get the reaction I didn't want to, I still would have stayed in character, and that was I did stay in character as at the start of the performance it was changed. We all had to improvise it. I still stayed in character. I still didn't slack anything. I maintained character. I maintained focus throughout the whole performance, and I showed very good commitment and dedication to the performance. I feel that an area of development is I could have taken my time whilst acting out the piece, because I feel I did it very quick, and if I did it more slow, it would have built the tension. It would have built the tension for the audience, and it would have left them feeling what's going on. And that's it. Megan, do you have anything else to say?
Oh, I just wanted to say that I got the reaction as well as Dylan was saying when Dylan had melted Kit Kat in his mouth and he threw it up on my face and everything, and everyone's reaction was exactly how we wanted it to be. It was very everyone was disgusted and surprised, and I think that made the illusion so much better, because